I am excited to announce that we have partnered with the Outdoorsmans in Fountain Hills, Arizona. They can provide all of your optics needs along with some of the best machine tripods and mounting accessories in the business. Swarovski, Zeiss, Leica, Leupold, binoculars, spotting scopes, rifle scopes, you name it. They can provide it, and at the industry's most competitive prices. They are offering our listeners an exclusive offer on all Outdoorsman's manufactured products such as packs, tripods, tripod heads, and other gear they manufacture. At checkout, type in the discount code RNA15, that is RNA15, and you'll receive a one-time 15% off your order. Please go to outdoorsmans.com and use the discount code today. Thank you for the support.
Ready for this?
Dun 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 dun.
I actually just watched the new Mortal Kombat.
Y'all ready for this?
The other day. Last night, I
Mortal
guess.
Kombat.
Flying out of Nashville.
Nice.
It's actually completely different than I expected it to be. I was actually surprised.
I always wanted to be Baraka.
Baraka was a savage.
Yeah. That was kind of my guy.
Raiden was my guy.
Raiden was good.
Raiden and Scorpion were my faves.
I was always a Baraka fan.
Yeah. What about you? What about you, Justin?
I know nothing about it.
I'm thinking someone maybe spewed in the bathroom up here.
Are they going kind
got
of
the cleaning crew on aisle 4 coming in.
It's getting a little funky.
Well, hello, honey. Can you guys hear me all right? Because I'm coming in and out.
Yeah.
I think you changed over on inputs and popped that little dial over again.
No, it's popped. I turned you down a little bit because you kept peeking out.
Oh. I just can't hear myself talk, which is okay. That's probably a good thing.
Really? I can hear you.
Well, then, but yeah, when they be doing all this and all that. Did you hit the record button?
Yeah, a little bit.
Attaboy.
A little bit.
I'm going to have to test your editing skills, brother.
That was good. So, Lucas, man, we're on a plane. I don't know, how many hours into the plane ride are we?
I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know if I'll be back again. So, yeah, we are on TK10, Turkish Airlines.
Yeah.
We're flying over Regina right now, Canada. We are like just on the border of Canada and Montana.
Yeah.
And we are rolling northeast right now. We're making a big horseshoe, and we're going to fly right over Afghanistan, where there's a no-fly zone right now. We're going to go right into Kabul. We're going to do work.
Hey, dude, I'm ready for it. Sign me the fuck. Do you know how many people were like, I don't know how you can be going to the Middle East right now with everything that's going on out there. Aren't you worried for your life?
You know, I had a lot of people asking me that. You know, why are you going there? And this was my analogy was like, if there was a war going on in the States when I was in Canada, I'd have never known it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's that far removed when you really think about where we're going in Kyrgyzstan. You know, we're gonna land in Bishkek, which is the capital of Kyrgyzstan. It's in the north central part of the country, and then we're gonna haul 12 hours south into the heart of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still Tajikistan between us and Afghanistan. You got Pakistan. You got Kazakhstan. You know,
you got all of the stands.
There could be a war happening in New York City, and I'd feel safe in Montana, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of that same
feeling.
Exactly. So, you know, and I mean, look at this plane right now. It's full of people.
Yeah.
People are not scared to go over there, you know.
Well, everybody's going to Istanbul. We don't know how many people are going to Kyrgyzstan.
That's true.
We might be the only ones on the flight.
Yeah.
Why would you go to Turkey, though? Like, come on. Okay, they got Ibex in Turkey.
Dude, I don't know, man. I've heard a lot of cool things. Like,
they got bees or Ibex in Turkey.
Pretty great place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got roughly, I think, 10 hours ahead of us?
Yeah, I think somewhere around there.
9 hours and 42 minutes. So, this is going to be a longer podcast than Joe Rogan's.
Brace yourself.
Oh, Saskatchewan.
How do you feel about it?
About the podcast or about the flight?
About Saskatchewan.
Well, I grew up just south of Saskatchewan, right on the Alberta-Saskatchewan border, and I've seen a lot of big deer come off the border into Montana from up there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's all you got to say.
I ain't giving coordinates. I ain't giving in-reach coordinates.
Can you just drop me a pin on my whatever app that I use? And then, just send me some pins.
Just Google Earth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got you.
I got it. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, I got you.
That's good looking out. That's good.
I'll help you out.
That's a good move.
It's interesting when you get on a flight, Turkish Airlines flight, which we're on, and they spell California with a K. It's like spelling cauliflower with a K. It's just not right. It's like sacrilege.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of is right, though.
Minneapolis. I once knew a girl. She lived in Minneapolis. I'll stop right there before I put my foot in my mouth. Okay, we should probably get a little serious.
No, I mean, who knows if we should.
We got to have some fun. I mean, we're going to be spending the next 11 days next to each other.
Popping zits off each other's back.
Oh, God.
That's nice.
Eating diarrheas in a bag, blowing, just defacing mountains together. It's just going to be an epic experience.
Well, man, that line to get in the bathroom after they served up that fish on this flight, that was, I mean, on both sides of the aisle, that was an epic line.
Yeah. The problem with good seats we have is that they're close to the bathroom.
Hey, but the positive is that, I mean, we could stretch out, lay across the floor in front of our seats.
Well, they knock the lights out.
Go to Winnipeg.
Any one of us could probably hop down here and take a little siesta if we needed to. But no, we got some great seats.
I mean, the only lights are the lights on above your seat.
Why is my light on?
You turned that on fucking hours ago. There.
Hello. Turn the lights down low.
I'm not kidding. If you look around, you had the only light on the whole plane.
Well, I mean, Jesus always had a light on, right? I mean, come on here. What are we talking about here?
Oh my God.
So on an even more serious note, we got the three amigos heading northwest, as you can see on the compass.
I mean, we're going way up.
And we are rolling hot into Istanbul, Turkey tonight. Yeah. We'll actually be there tomorrow morning. It's actually, we're going to be there tomorrow afternoon because it's 11 hours ahead.
Well, it's 8 a.m. right there. Now. It was 8:06.
Yeah, so it'll be like 5 o'clock when we get there tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole 24 hours. Although the flight is only like 12 or 13, we go another 11 ahead. That's 24 hours. So we're basically going a full day ahead by tomorrow. And then we've got another short, about 5-hour flight after a 2-hour connection. It's 24 hours portal to portal, or 26 hours portal to portal on this flight. And,
And then 13 hours of driving.
Yeah, I mean, to get to these places, the places that we go and do this stuff, it requires a lot of logistics to get this done.
It really does, man. And a big thanks to you. I mean, I know you handled a lot on that end of this whole excursion that we're going on. Because you've been on a number of international hunts, so...
Well, and it's fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. We love to hunt the West, right? We're all California boys. We love to hunt Cali. But doing trips like this, to me, it's the cultures, meeting the people, eating their food, sharing stories with them. I mean, we're going to be with guys that aren't going to be able to speak very good English, But, I mean, that's part of the experience, right? That's why you go.
I'm really interested to see what they think of a flip-flop.
Well, that's going to blow their mind, I think.
I hope so.
Quite honestly.
I hope that we're able to pull it off and doing one there. That's going to be pretty fucking epic.
No, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. You got sauce, right?
Oh, I got plenty of sauce.
Attaboy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got sauce, but it ain't in a bottle.
Yeah. Your last 15 days.
Yeah, I'm pretty backed up.
How you feeling about that?
Well, I'm feeling better now that I'm on the plane with you guys and we're rolling, but you know, I've had a bit of an interesting go since. I'll just backtrack a few days.
Backtrack to when you first called me and found out you were going, because you called me in August with the intention that you're going in August.
Yeah. So
it happened quick.
Yeah, and when I found out that the border was opening, and it was August 9th, I had like 3 or 4 people call me and they're like, "Hey, are you going to go on your hunt?" And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can pull it off. You know, we had this. You know, and when you plan a sheep hunt, you plan it. It's a couple of year process, right? I mean, unless you draw the tag and you got 6 months to do it, that's one thing. But when you do a hunt like that, it's a lot of planning.
It's like 2 or 3 years booking and everything.
It's all that. It's been all of that. And when my outfitter called me and he goes, "Hey, I need to get you here," you know, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to hunt you next year. I don't know if I can roll your dates, blah, blah, blah. I talked to you. I talked to a lot of people, and they're like, "You'd be a fool not going, you know. You got to go." So I saddled up the pony, and I got all my gear together, and in short order, within 3 weeks turnaround from the time I got the phone call, I was getting ready to get on an airplane and head to northern BC. Unbeknownst to me, flying Air Canada, which was the only way to get there from California, the only other thing I could have done, and when I talked to Brendan, he's like, "We're driving to Calgary and we're taking Air North." If I was in Montana, that's exactly what I would have done, hindsight. But I couldn't get there any other way. I took Air Canada, flew from LA to Vancouver. Everything was great. I was on cloud 9. I was just super excited, pumped.
And
fly from Vancouver, and I land in Whitehorse. And when I get to Whitehorse, I realize that after the baggage claim comes through, one of my bags with 75% of my gear doesn't show up. So that kind of starts the snowball, if you will.
Yeah.
And so sleepless night. I get a call from my outfitter the next morning. He goes, because I emailed him that night, he goes, "Well, what was in that bag?" And of course I start going down the list. And he goes, "I got that, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that." You know, it's like, but I had, a Storm Star tent, 2-person, pretty light. I had a 15-degree bag, 1.5 pounds. I had my sleeping pad, Thermarest, 1.5 pounds, right? So I'm at 67 to 68 pounds in my pack going there.
Yeah.
With food, everything. I show up and they start handing me this Marmot tent and this minus 20-degree sleeping bag from North Face that weighs 4.5. I mean, my pack went from 68 pounds to almost like 77 pounds just by the gear they were giving me.
Yeah, just with a couple of items, too.
Just a couple items. And so here I'm just like, and I'm freaking out now. The one thing that did make it was my bow and my camo and my case and that stuff. But all of my other stuff just didn't make it in that bag. So I had to get all the food scenarios set up. And so it just, again, when you plan a trip like that, you've got all your ducks in a row. You got everything that you know, what you want, where you want it. And then you show up and it's like, oh, by the way, no, you're not going to have any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest mistake I made, and I've done enough of these hunts to know better. When I got to Vancouver, I had to take my bags and go recheck everything because of COVID, and I had to get tested again. I got tested 6 times in a matter of 13 days, by the way.
Did your nose feel violated?
Oh, God. My back of my throat does.
It's raw, huh?
They're like, yeah.
Just
like,
grinding you out.
I think they're seeing if you actually have a brain or not. They're like, why are you getting tested, you idiot? Anyway, so when I got to Vancouver, I had to grab my bags. So I had my bags. I had my bow case. I had my big Taku bag. I'm like, okay, I got my gear. got COVID tested, went through customs, did the whole deal. And what I did is I took my boots off and I put on my lazy shoes because I'm like, okay, I'm through. I put my boots in that big bag, and guess what happened? That bag didn't show up. So I had to use probably a mid-90s pair of Scarpas. All the heels were blown out of them. They were hard as a rock. They had no insoles. Those are the only boots they had in camp that they could lend me. So I'm getting ready to go do, in my opinion, what's a hunt of a lifetime for me.
It's a hunt of a lifetime for anybody. Dude. Yeah. You're going stone sheep hunting, period.
Yeah. And
that's a dream hunt.
None of my gear, and didn't even have my own boots. So we get to the outfitter's place, and we get all the gear. And for the sake of this podcast, most probably know who I went with, but I'm going to leave names out. We got to their camp and got all the gear, got the food stuff scenario set up, and loaded us in the Beaver, and myself and our packer and my guide went, and our outfitter took us and dropped us into a lake at the south end of his territory. He's got 4,000 square miles of concession in northern BC.
Yeah.
That's a lot of land.
It's a lot of land.
Right? I mean, he's probably hasn't seen all of it in his life.
Yeah.
And we were getting to talking, and I said, well, just general, I'm kind of one of those guys that I like to look at Google Earth, Where are we going? Oh, we're going to a place that hasn't been hunted in 7 years. I was like, okay, so part of me was like, kind of eyebrow went up, like, okay, that could be really good, or that could be
really bad.
Yeah, like, I'm like, well, do you guys scout it? Do you fly it? He goes, no, that's not how we hunt here. And he goes, we used to kill rams there 7 years ago. I was like, well, yeah, I used to elk hunt in places 7 years ago. I don't now because there's no elk. Like, it's like, so it kind of started off on that foot, and and I don't want to be a bearer of crap news on this podcast, but I'll paraphrase basically my trip. I have it journaled, and I'm pretty anal about how I journal stuff, but we hunted for 8 days because we got weathered out of 2 of a 10-day hunt. I paid for a 14-day hunt. I got to hunt 8 days. Did not see a legal ram. Got pulled off the mountain early because of weather, and then we stayed basically 2 days in a cabin when I could have been up on the mountain hunting. And just didn't have the experience that I was expecting, one. And B, you just kind of feel like you get treated like a second-class citizen. Like coming back into camp after 8-9 days, after eating junk, not showering, didn't get offered a hot meal, didn't get offered a shower. I had left clothes in a roll-top bag, clean set of clothes with my arrows, my sunglasses there. Couldn't find that stuff.
Disappeared.
I'm like,
how does that even happen?
How does that happen? So I get flown back to the lake that we connected at, and I'm in my hunting gear, right? And that I've been in for 10 days. And it just, to that end, I mean, it was, I had very high expectations, and everything that happened in between, there was a lot that happened in between that I won't really disclose some of that because it's stuff that, I mean, it makes me really frustrated the way some of the things were handled. But, in general, it's like, you know what? I hunt because it's a hobby, and I love it, right? I don't hunt because it's my job. It's not my livelihood. I'm not out there grinding every day to try to find people a legal animal. Like, I hunt because I love it, and it's fun. But that's the key thing, is it's got to be fun. And when the element of fun comes out of it, I hit my wall, man, a couple times, and I'll tell you, I got super, like, emotional, and I broke down a couple times on that hunt. Not like sobbing, crying, but I was laying there just in my mind with these splitting headaches, like, this isn't what I came to do. I didn't come here to basically walk 84 miles in someone else's shoes and not see a damn animal. Like, that isn't what that experience was that I was looking for. Well, and it hit me hard.
Well, what you're bringing up is a really good point, right? And what you're saying is, it's your passion, it's your hobby, it's something that you love to do. And you're going out, you're investing time and money into your gear and traveling around to these different places, going on, whatever hunt it may be. You're not paying for an experience, exactly what you said, in someone else's boots.
Yeah.
And yes, hunts can be tedious, and hunts can be frustrating, and hunts can be, that's part of the love of the hunt. But
Absolutely.
But I think when you get to what you're speaking to, when you're wearing shoes that are too big and don't fit your feet, and you're not in your gear, and you're not in, everything is off, your rhythm is off, your thought processes are off. Every response that we have as a human for what we've prepared for with our preferred outlying blanket, right? Like that's our safety net, is the gear that we have that goes in our pack, and we know what fits, and we know how we can do all this and manage everything. And then it's like boom, 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 boom.
Well, then
your feet are fucked. Your shoulders.
First
are
climb.
fucked. Yeah.
First climb, I had blisters on my heels.
Yeah, man.
So then I'm moleskin, and then I'm every time we sit in glass, I'm taking my boots off and letting my feet, that doesn't happen in my boots, right? That doesn't, so yeah, everything about this hunt changed the minute that my bag didn't show up in Whitehorse.
It's crazy.
The whole game changed at that point, and there's two things you can do. You can put your head down and say, I'm not going to do it, or you can saddle up and say, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can. And
with what I got.
And
that's what you did, though.
Right? And, in a little time lapse, the first climb we did 8.5 miles the first day. And most of northern BC, everything is just big, steep valleys with alpine, and then you've got, high above alpine, and we're in 5,000 to 6,000 feet. We're not in serious elevation, but you get up into that 5,000, 6,000 feet into that open, just kind of, the area where the sheep are. There's scree, there's shale. But once you get above alpine, it's a beautiful place to be.
Oh yeah.
But getting up there, that first climb was pretty tough on me, and I labeled my first day in my journal the climb and grind, because that's exactly what it was for me. I was struggling with those boots, but we went 4 days and didn't see a ram, which, hey, that's hunting, right? We also spent a day and a half hiking in a hunting territory we couldn't even hunt in. I had an issue with that, because we got dropped at the south end of our outfitter's guide territory, and all of that bordered another guide territory that was what the sheep country was. So we're going up, and I'm glassing, and my guide's like, quit looking over there. I'm like, why? He goes, we can't hunt that. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why are we here? Like, why didn't we get dropped off somewhere where we could make the climb and hunt? Like, day and a half, blown.
We had that experience at Teshodi. When we were up there, we go out on these long 12-hour horseback days, and we'd get to some spots, and we're glassing for sheep. Can't find any, and then we all, turn over to this middle mountain range that the river, or the Teshodi, it kind of juts into Teshodi's area. And we'd start looking at that mountain. There's a ram. There's ewes. There's more ram. There's a band of rams. And you're just looking at sheep, and it's like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So we grinded, put in 8 to 10 mile days, break camp every day. It's like there were places I just wanted to sit and leave camp for 2 or 3 days and just glass, and it was always like, we got to get to this next point, we got to get to here. So it's breaking camp every morning, put 75 pounds on your back, doing 10 miles. By the middle of the day, you'd stop, set your camp up, go glass, see nothing. Next morning, same thing, break your camp down. It just got to be this repetitive, and I asked my guide, I said, are we just going on a hike in the mountains? And he took it personal. He goes, this outfitter, he wants his clients to kill rams. He will put his people in the right positions to kill rams. We don't take people on hikes in the mountains. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm going on a hike in the mountains. We're not seeing stuff. So finally, we made a decision to basically get out of this general area we were in. And we did a 13-mile day, and we got back into some country where we actually started seeing some sheep. The problem with this is we had 5 days left to hunt. We'd already burned 5 of the days doing what we did. Well, those 5 days turned into 3 days because after the third day, we started getting, pretty substantial weather. And the outfitter made the call to get us off the mountain, which I get weather, and weather changes. It's like, it's Idaho, it's Alaska. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, right? Northern BC is no different. We woke up to snow one morning on our tents, and it melted off, but we woke up to snow one morning, up there. And so weather is weather, but if it's bad where we're at, he's not going to be able to fly in anyway, right? So I'm thinking, why are we going to go sit in a cabin if he can't even get to us? I'll go sit in my tent in the rain. At least I'm on the mountain. At least I got a chance, right? Ram can walk by. I showed you guys some videos. We had a ram in our camp one night, 238 yards. Yeah. I could have easily stalked him in with my bow and probably got an opportunity, but he was a 5-year-old ram, And so, it just, again, it wasn't the experience that I dreamed of and thought of, and maybe part of that's what let me down. And again, and then there were just a lot of other extenuating circumstances around the hunt, things that I probably won't share on the podcast.
That's fine.
That just really, really soured the experience. Communication issues and just a lot of things that are just, I wouldn't say it's borderline unethical stuff, but there were some things that, I would highly consider writing a letter to the Guide and Outfitters Association of BC on, because there were just things that were, not acceptable in my opinion. And I guide in California too, and and I think about the position that I put hunters in. We took an elk hunter this year, and he shot a great bull, and
that was a stunner of a bull too.
Yeah, and I also spent 3 days a week scouting and naming 9 different bulls and showing him all these bulls and saying, hey, here's the bulls we're going to hunt. Like, which one do you like? I like these couple. Great, let's go find them. And the one he shot wasn't one of the top 3, but he had the opportunity. He made the shot. He made an 82-yard shot right through the heart. He made a great shot. But the reality is as a guide, we have, in my opinion, and this is how I think, we have that responsibility to give someone those opportunities and experience, right?
Well,
and if a guy hires you to do that and you take him in and he doesn't show you one elk that he wants to shoot, or he doesn't have an opportunity,
or call it illegal,
quite honestly, that's on me.
Call it a legal bull. He doesn't show you a branch antler bull.
Yeah.
On a 15-day hunt. That's not what you signed up for.
That's on me at that point. That's on me as the guide, right?
I'll agree with that.
Now, you get him on 3 different bulls, he misses twice. That's he had the opportunity, right? Or he cripples one.
I would even say if you get him on one legal, and he passes it or misses the shot, either one.
Yeah.
That is the guide's job. Get him on a legal, good animal.
Yeah.
And let the hunter decide.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and I understand the sheep game is different, but I also know the guys that guide for sheep in the States, they do a lot of scouting. They fly. Yeah. And my outfitter was a pilot. Just all this stuff.
Well, I would think if he's taking you to an area that hasn't been hunted in 7 years, I would have assumed, especially if he's a pilot, that he would have gone through that area, checked it out, and kind of gotten a good idea of what's going on.
Where to go, right?
Yeah.
Here was the other concern I had is my guide, nothing against my guide. I enjoyed him. He's a young kid. He's got a lot of runway in front of him, but he'd never been in this area either. So now you're sticking 3 people, the hunter, the packer, and the guide, into an area that no one knows where we're going. Now, we had topo maps, but okay. It's one thing to have maps and never been in there. It's one thing to be in there and know where to go and
know where you've seen rams before, know where the camping spots are, right? Know where you want to push to. Like, all that stuff gives you more opportunity because you're not. There were days where we were.
You got sent on a scouting trip.
Well, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, we ended up back at the cabin, and which was nice. We had a cabin, and we spent a couple days there, and we were really low on food. Just rationed what we had, and told stories, played cards, hung out. And then my outfitter was finally able to come get me and pulled me out, extracted me, got me back to camp. I was in a mad panic trying to find my clean clothes, trying to figure out my flights. I was in reach of my brother. Hey, I might need to bump my flight. Can you check Wednesday versus Tuesday? I was supposed to actually be out of there the day before. And then the guide came back with my packer and the guide, and he goes, hey, we got to go. Get in the charter plane. We're going to take everyone back to the lake that we had dropped into where we started. So we all got on the plane, took us back over, basically like, here's the football. Have a great day, guys. All right. Back in the truck, 4 hours back to Whitehorse. Just so frustrated. No debrief, no conversation. How did it go? Nothing. Just to literally drop the football and
later,
right out
guys.
the window.
Yeah,
So.
What's funny to me in this whole entire situation, because you and I are having daily comms as your adventure is unfolding.
To you. Yeah.
And while all this is going on, I text you and I'm like, you're telling me you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it. I'm telling you, if you need to extend your trip, stay longer.
You threw that out to me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even there until you sent me that message.
Yeah.
And then my mind started going.
Yeah.
Because you're like, if you have this hunt, you stay and you do that.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to stay, you finish it. And you stay. Skip Kyrgyzstan. You could do that 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
20 years in a row. Shit.
Yeah.
But you stay on your stone sheet, man. And that was what I was getting at.
And I asked for those extra 4 days.
Yeah.
And I didn't get them. I got declined.
Yeah.
And there's more behind that story, and there's more conversation and messages that happen that I won't share. But I had asked my outfitter to talk. I'd asked my guy to talk to the outfitter and say, hey, I'm at a point right now we can extend it 4 more days. The true 14-day hunt I paid for versus the 10 that I got, 9.5 really. And I got denied. So, so at that point when we knew I couldn't hunt the extra 4 days, it was like, boys, we gotta get after it. Like, get your binoculars on your eyes and let's scan every single thing 1,000 times. And then that 1,001 time that those rams pop. It's amazing how you look at something so long and you take a break, your eyes get tired, you take a snoozer for 5 minutes, come back up, look up, and like, oh, there's sheep there. Like, they just appear, You got to be on it in that country because they do. They just appear. But, yeah, that didn't even cross my mind until you sent me that message. And it got my brain going, and I started getting excited thinking, okay, I got more time, and then we got shot down.
And then you didn't.
Yeah. So the reality is I felt like I had my money, get them in, get them out. This is our last year of our 5-year allocation. We'll get more new permits next year. Let's get them all done, get them through. It wasn't about taking care of your client and making sure that they had an opportunity to sheep. It was get them in, get them out. That's how I felt. That's how I took it, right? And for, like I say, a hunt of that magnitude, what you pay for that, that's not how you treat people.
Yeah.
You don't treat clients like that. You give them an honest opportunity, and if they don't have it, you sit down with them and say, okay, I talked to my guide. I understood that you didn't have an opportunity. You didn't see a legal ram. What can we work on? What can we do to maybe get you back or get you a ram? Most people can't just go afford to pay a full price and not see something and just keep coming back every time. At some point it's like, hey, I paid the price. We didn't see one. That happens. That's hunting. But afford a guy an opportunity to come back, right, and try it again, and give it another shot.
Figure something out.
Do something.
Yeah.
So.
And what's crazy is while all that's going on, I'm down in Louisiana.
Yeah, your world. I didn't even know because I'm cut off from the world.
Yeah, you're completely cut off, so you have no idea what's going on until I text you. And
you sent me a message. You said basically, "Hey, I'm in a Category 4 hurricane. Wish me luck." And I was like, "What the hell is going on in the world right now?" Because you've been in sheep country, multiple places, not only in BC. You get cut off from the world.
Yeah, there's no.
And that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
Is you don't have Google, you don't have Facebook, you don't have Instagram.
Yeah.
You have an inReach that you can send 160-character text message to, and it's got to be short.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of that type of hunting.
Right.
So.
Yeah, man, that was gnarly, dude. That whole situation down there was just absolutely insane. That storm started blowing in, and at first it was like, all right, it's going to be another whatever. Not a bad deal.
High winds, rain.
High winds, rain.
Yeah.
Blows over, everything's fine. And, Friday it started escalating. Halfway through Saturday, it was like pandemonium and panic. Everybody that I know personally that lives in Louisiana is texting me, you need to get the fuck out of the state. You need to evacuate.
Yeah.
And we had just sold my girlfriend's car right before that. So we had no vehicle. And it was like, well, we're just going to, shut
And you guys are like in the heart of New Orleans then?
Yeah, we're in the French Quarter.
Wow.
So, I bomb-proof the house, shutter all the windows, nail and screw everything shut, and pretty much get us locked down and ready for whatever's going to happen. We ended up going over to her boss's house and sitting there just because it's a little bit of a bigger space, gas stove instead of an electric stove, stuff like that. And the storm hits, and it wasn't even, like, it was bad, I get it. It was a Category 4 hurricane.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. But
what was it, Irma?
Ida. Hurricane Ida, yeah. And I'm kind of just like, I don't really know how to react to this. Is this that crazy? Is this not? Is everybody I know blowing this out of proportion? And then I start thinking about, my biggest concern is the only thing I care about is that my flight is still leaving New Orleans on Wednesday. Because if my flight's not leaving New Orleans Wednesday morning,
we got a problem.
I got a fucking very big problem.
Yep.
Going on my first serious bucket list hunt of my life.
Yep.
This is like the first hunt for me where I ever was like 2 Ibex and a Marco Polo. I'm not hunting a Marco Polo. We talked about that.
We'll come back for that.
We'll come back for that.
Yeah.
But
that's part 2.
That's part 2, definitely. But this is the first part of that bucket list getting knocked off. I was listening to an old podcast I did with Mike Burrell, and he was one of the founders of the California Wild Sheep Foundation. And him and I are going back and forth. And in that podcast, I was like, yeah, my dream hunt is 2 Ibex and a Marco Polo, and I'm sitting in a man's house who's completed a World Slam, looking at all of his Ibex and all of his, Marco Polo or Altai or Gallis, you name it, dude's got it. And it's super interesting to hear that, because I forgot that I had even talked about it on that episode. But so I'm worried that, and I told my girl, I was like, if I'm going to miss this flight, we need to leave. And I talked to a few folks that are locals, and they were like, the airport will be up and running. Don't worry about it. Like, all right, cool. So anyways, we stick out the storm. And periodically through the whole day, we open the front door, we're running around in the street, raining, wind. There's this little pigeon. Dude, this pigeon had found this little spot on a roof where the wind must not have been going, and it rode the entire storm out in this one little spot.
Wow.
Torn and tattered bird across the street. I should take a picture of it. I didn't.
Wow.
Anyways, we ride the storm out. The power goes out about 6 p.m. Then around 8 p.m. we start getting flash flood warnings. The water pumps in downtown are out. And then it's like, okay, now this is getting serious.
Yeah.
Now this is getting bad.
Getting real.
Yeah, and everybody's of the opinion out there, like, the power doesn't go out in the quarter for more than like an hour or two. You know, and we're getting 4 or 5 hours into the power being out. There's sirens going off somewhere in the city that we can hear.
Yeah, storm sirens.
Yeah, dude, it's getting pretty gnarly out. Finally, it all passes. It starts mellowing out. We wake up the next morning. You know, it's sunny out. We're walking around. We go check out the damage. There's very, very little damage throughout the entire city. It was funny. There was a awning that got blown off a second story, and everybody was reporting it on CNN like a fucking roof flew off the building.
Of course.
And
Communist News Network.
yeah, well, you know what's so weird to me is how they're covering all this damage of New Orleans like it's a major catastrophe. And the damage of New Orleans was so minimal compared to Homa or any of the other areas that got directly smashed, man. Like, when we evacuated out on Tuesday, the areas we drove through, and I'm talking football field long sections of pines chopped in half.
Leveled.
Just, 10 feet up, cut in half, every single tree. I've never seen nature. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like, there was serious catastrophic damage, and they aren't even reporting that shit. And that really pisses me off. Like, I don't understand what, go to where it's really hurting. Go to where they're really affected and where damage really is. Stop sensationalizing fucking New Orleans. But when we woke up the next day, we found out the power was going to be out for 3 weeks to a month. And I looked at my girlfriend and I told her, I was like, we got to get out. I was like, I understand maybe you want to stay. You can't go to work. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
People are going to run out of water. People are going to run out of cold food that they have refrigerated. People are going to run out of electricity, batteries that they've had saved up, everything. And in 5 days, the city is going to be turned upside down.
It's going to be a mess.
Yeah, power doesn't come back on. Like, you're looking at some real third world shit.
Yeah.
And so I got a hold of my buddy. He called his travel agent, got us a booked car in Shreveport, which is a 5.5-hour drive. He drove from Baton Rouge, came down, picked us up, and drove us to Shreveport. So it's an hour and a half to us, and then 5.5 hours up to Shreveport. Dropped us off the car. I rebooked my flights out of Nashville. We drove up to Nashville from there, which was another 8 hours.
Oh, that's where your girlfriend's from, right?
Yeah, that's her origination.
Which is probably a good thing because she's got family and stuff there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
super handy.
Yeah.
We got in at midnight and woke up the next morning, and you and I are still texting, and because you were at a point you weren't sure if you were going to make it out in time to get back to California.
Correct.
So we were both kind of in this same game of like, are we going to make this hunt?
I know.
Is one of us not? Is one, because there was a point where I was like, all right, we're both going, and then it was forces of nature that were keeping us from actually being able to make it. And that, like, I remember hearing
out of our control at that point, right?
It was weather for you, controlling the plane, whether or not you needed to fly out of camp. And obviously it was weather for me because it's a fucking hurricane.
Whole different magnitude of weather.
Yeah. But
so you guys get to Nashville.
We got to Nashville, hung out for the day. My flight, I'm talking to you, and I was like, cool, let's book a hotel. I'll see you at LAX tonight at 8:45.
Rendezvous.
Justin's in on this. We have a group text going for the whole deal.
That's right.
And going through it, and then I'm like, wait, my flight got delayed. 10 minutes later, another delay. 10 minutes later, another delay.
Well, you just kept sending updates every 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was non-stop.
And I'm thinking,
stop.
As I'm battling my whole other issue at LAX, you're just trying to get there.
And I haven't even got there yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't even end up getting into my hotel last night until 2 in the morning, which kind of threw a wrench in our plans because yesterday was supposed to be our 24 hours downtime, all our chores, getting everything done.
Sleep, rest, yeah.
And anything other odds and ends that needed to get squared away, making sure we had the gear, whatever it was.
Padlocks for ammo, just details.
Just small, minor details. So I made it in, and when I got in, I booked at the Courtyard Marriott. I didn't know there was 3 Marriotts next to the airport. So I jumped on the only Marriott bus that I saw, and they ended up taking me 1.5 miles down the street. So I had to walk all the way back to the other hotel. That's a whole nother part of my story.
Right in the heart of LAX.
Yeah, not thrilling to walk through there 1:30, 2 a.m.
Thinking you're in Compton or something.
Yeah, I'm not in Compton. I lived down there for a while, so I kind of know.
Coming straight out of Compton.
I thought it was low cash.
Oh. Yeah, I mean you're battling that battle, and here I get back Tuesday, and
what happened?
So I finally get out of. I get to Whitehorse Monday night. Meet a good friend of mine there who was heading to Bonnet Plume to do his Dall sheep hunt.
How cool is that? That's a dream hunt for me.
Yeah.
There in Ravensthorpe.
Yeah. So I got to see my buddy Dennis. We had dinner. We hung out. His rifle, he was coming from Ohio. His rifle didn't make it. His rifle was still in Vancouver as we're in Whitehorse. And I'm just like, it's just like, oh my God, I'm already seeing this happen. Like, he's got all his gear mostly, but he doesn't have his rifle, right? So next morning, wake up, him and I went and had breakfast and wished him luck, and he left with his group, and then I headed to the airport. So I head to Whitehorse and check my 2 bags that I have now. I have both my bags at this point. The bag that I didn't get with all my gear ended up showing up at camp 4 days later, which was then told they were going to airdrop my boots and a few other things I requested, my trekking poles, and that never happened. So I was, left out there with the loaner gear.
So did you never get any of your gear?
None.
The whole hunt?
No, they never airdropped it. Which is so simple. I mean, that's literally fly over, kick the window, door open, drop it, go get it, right? I mean, not that hard to do that. And I even told them I'll pay whatever your fee is for an airdrop, I'll pay it. Yeah. Like, I want my boots. Like, give me my boots. Anyway, so I get to the airport, check my bags, get on the plane, land in Vancouver. Same deal in Vancouver. Get randomly selected for another COVID test. And have to go and get my bags. So I go to get my bags, and I realize, okay, my big Taku bag is there with all the stuff that I didn't have on the first hunt, but then I realized that my oversized bag with my bow and my camo and other stuff wasn't there. So I go to claims, baggage claims, and I submit a claim. Oh yeah, your bag's still in Whitehorse. I'm like, how does that happen? I got on the plane, first leg of the flight. I can see missing a connection and missing a bag. But it not getting on the plane from your first portal of entry in Whitehorse, which is a airport smaller than, I say San Luis Obispo. I mean, it's a small airport, right? So frustrated. So I missed my connecting flight. I get on another flight out of Vancouver into LA, and I get in at 11:30. Of course, no bag. Wednesday rolls around. Call Air Canada. Wait on hold for 2 hours. Nothing. Go to the airport. Get my information. Oh, yeah, sir, your bag will be on flight 556. It'll be coming in. Okay, great. Drive to the airport. Wednesday night. No bag. So then I'm starting to get, a little hot. Thursday rolls around. I'm like, okay, today's the day. It's going to come in. There's 5 flights a day.
from Vancouver to LA. And today I go and no back.
Twice you went.
Yeah.
2 different flights coming in.
No back.
So we left with none of your gear.
We left with, so thank the good Lord for great people.
Yeah.
That's all I can say, because Ryan Olson, who's a very good friend of yours and one that I've met one other time and have talked to a lot but haven't really spent a lot of time around, shows up, drives up from his house, loads the back of his truck full of gear, and basically yard sales it on the ground and says, take whatever you want and use whatever you want. And I got all the gear I needed, to do the hunt. Now, this time around, I got my boots with me, so I learned from that lesson, but don't have my bow, don't have a lot of my other equipment, but you know what? We'll make it work. I got camo, I got gear, I got boots. We're here, and I think of all the adversity we've been through in the last whatever, and all you can really do now is look back on it and laugh on it, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Because if I look back on it and get pissed, it just frustrates me. And in 2 years, my mom put it this way the best, and this is why I love my mom, because she always puts things into context. She goes, honey, it's not going to matter in 100 years anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, in 100 years, no one's going to really care that I went sheep hunting and didn't kill a sheep. Like, I'm not going to be around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to look at that stuff in the rearview mirror and say, you know what? Learn from it. Makes us better. And what do we do moving forward, right? And I could have easily said, I'm not doing this hunt. I'm burned out. And I told you that. I'm stressed. I'm burned out. But I also knew this was the best thing for me to come do.
Yeah.
To go with you guys, my friends, and have a good time. And I know we're going to have a good time. And I know we're going to ground check some animals. So
Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully.
So that's probably the Cliff Note version of my last couple weeks.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I'm healthy, I'm here, I'm alive. It's kind of hard to compete with that.
You're ready to go. So Justin, for you, this is your first crazy ass hunt.
I think so. The first, second international hunt for me. Yeah, I'm super stoked to be here with you guys. Get to capture it all on film and capture you guys in your own element. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Did you ever think you were going to be going to Kyrgyzstan?
Never in my life, man. Never in my life till I met you guys, and it's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
I mean, I'm going to take us back 8 months ago when we were all talking about this, right? When we kind of approached you about it, and we told you we're going to go on, what, did you know what an Ibex was? Did you know, did you have some context of what you were going to be getting into? Or were you just like, because I know you're like, give me a couple days, I need to comb this out with work, but you were in from the start, but did you kind of know what you were going to get into?
Not to this extent, no. I, like I said, never done anything like this except for New Zealand, hunted tahr for myself, and filmed a red stag hunt out there a couple years back. But yeah, any adventure, anything to this extent, if I can swing it with work, man, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. I knew what an Ibex was to begin with. Always wanted to go on a sheep/goat hunt, and this is as close as we can get to my first one.
No question. I mean, we're going to be high altitude. We're going to be in some pretty rugged mountains. We're going to have all different types of weather. We're on the same. Essentially, Kyrgyzstan is on a very similar parallel as the U.S. So, temperature-wise, we're on that parallel. So it's going to be September weather. It's just we're going to be at 12 to 13,000 feet, right? So they say
can happen at 12 to 13,000.
They say every 1,000 feet you can knock 1 to 2 degrees potentially every 1,000 feet you go up. So, we could be in the teens and 20s at night, and the 40s and 50s during the day. I mean, who knows, right? But we kind of chose these dates in September. One, because I wanted to archery hunt because the weather's not as bad, but two, a lot of times the billies are banded up and they're much higher, and before the hunters start coming in and really breaking them up, we also get a first crack at them too, which I kind of like that. I kind of like the thought of being the one that busts up all the the billies and finding hopefully some pretty good billies.
I'm so excited.
It's gonna be rad.
I don't know. I've held an ibex as a Beezer ibex, but I've held one before, and feeling their horns and how they roll like they do, and the lumps on them as they go back, and then you get back to their tips. How cool those animals are! It's crazy to think that we're going to have potentially the opportunity to be doing this and holding some world-class Mid-Asian Ibex in our hands. Because where we're going is, we specifically picked this area, the Ishikul, because this holds the biggest Ibex in the world. It doesn't have Marco Polo sheep there. If you do the combo, you go where they got good Marco Polos, but they've got okay Ibex.
Yeah.
We're going where there's really good Ibex, like some of the best Mid-Asians in the world.
Yeah.
I'm stoked, man.
I can't believe it.
Not one, but two each.
Potentially, yeah. We have the opportunity, and I'll be the first to say I'm not a trophy guy. I don't need to shoot the biggest one in the group. That's not who I am. It's about the experience. But if we can go to an area where we can shoot some very respectable, good quality, 48 to 50 inch Ibex, I mean, why the hell not?
Yeah.
And if there's a 54 inch Ibex in there, yeah, he's probably going to get shot.
It's going to get a womp.
Is it trophy hunting? I don't know. I think it's just taking a mature animal, at his prime. That's what it is to me.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to go home if I had the opportunity without an animal. That's why I don't consider it trophy hunting, because I won't eat my tag if I have an opportunity. Something's going to die. So super stoked. I think we're very fortunate to be doing this, and like good grace and a lot of other things, we're here, and all that other stuff, as much interference and distraction as it was, right now it really doesn't matter,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope my bow shows up and I don't have to replace it, but right now there's nothing I can do about it, so.
Well, and that's kind of the biggest part of it too, and overcoming that. I mean, I know for me, I would be super wrapped up in my gear and whether or not it's going to be there, and will it be there when I get back, and the whole thing of it. And something that I've learned is like having the ability to be able to just let that go and then move on to whatever the next experience is, and just, all right, man, that was a punch, water off a duck's back, man, keep going forward, and
you're good at that, man. I that's one thing I've learned from you is having that, because I get really wrapped up in the situation, and you have that ability to let that slide off your back, and it's something that I need to be better about.
It's only because I've been through hell.
Yeah.
But
for me, being with you guys helps me, because I'd still be a miserable F if I was like by myself and didn't have my stuff. Right?
Oh, if you went home, dude, if you went home and skipped out on this, like, I couldn't imagine the own doom and gloom, because I know for myself, if I were to do that, like, what I would create in my head and the world of terror.
Well, knowing what you guys are doing, and I'm not there,
and how hard I would be on myself, I could only imagine what that would be like for you being in that position. Obviously, because we're hunters and because of how we are in our mindset, we're going to be 10 times harder on ourselves over it than if it were something else.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just the kind of people that we are. It's who we are. It's what we are. And we're at the age now where you ain't going to change it. It's just, it's who we are. But that's what's beautiful about it too.
It is. I can't wait to see the country, man. The video that Alex sent us today of the...
Right above camp?
Yeah, above camp.
Pretty amazing.
Band of like 65, 70 billies or whatever.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You can't beat that. And then not only that, but the views from where we're staying or from base camp is just unreal.
And you look up and you're like...
All right, we're here. We're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just a little bit about the trip. When you talk about logistics, it's there's a lot of logistics that go into these trips. You know, I flew on 4 different planes to get to where I got on my sheep hunt.
Yeah.
We will have flown on 2 different planes, a long car ride, and potentially horseback just to get to where we're going to be, you know.
Yep.
And I was trying to explain to the people at Air Canada, they're like, well, we'll just have your bag routed to wherever you're going to go in Bishkek. I'm like, you don't understand. They don't deliver bags to where we're going. Like, people don't understand, right? It's not like I'm going there and I'm going to be at a Marriott, sitting at the beach. No, this is different.
We're taking a 13-hour car ride after we land.
26 hour portal to portal.
Yeah.
And then again, potentially having another potential horseback ride to get to where we're going to be hunting. So yeah, but most people look at that and say, that's what you do, take on vacation? Like, yeah, that's my vacation.
That's a vacation.
That's my vacation.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like sitting on Cabo on the beach and having a margarita, but there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
And it's not in September.
No.
It's not in September.
Nothing in September, October, or November, and even August.
No, that's our time.
I mean, this year was the first year I missed California archery season in 13 years probably.
Yeah.
You know, that's rough.
Yeah.
But there's so much other stuff going on right now that...
Well, you got the total archery deals, you do all that now, and you get... all that stuff happens during RA zone, you know, and so you just fill the voids, you know, with something different.
Still get to cook deer legs. Right? That's handy.
Yeah.
Feed the masses, change hearts and minds. Yeah, well... I guess we'll call that a wrap, man.
It's not bad for being on an airplane.
Yeah, it's loud as fuck.
This is the first podcast I've ever done on an airplane.
Me too.
Love it. I love it.
Justin, you were saying something about the Mile High Club earlier.
Yeah. You haven't
joined it, or
I've joined.
You've joined?
I've joined.
Wow. That's a big bathroom up there.
You're missing out.
Sure do got a purty mouth.
Catch you skiing in your sleeping bag.
Hey listeners, this is Lucas Paw, host of the RNA Outdoors podcast. Check out our website at rnaoutdoors.com to find all of our podcast platforms. Go listen today where you podcast. Additionally, leave a review and a 5-star rating. These reviews help boost our popularity and outreach. You can also follow us on our social media outlets, Instagram at Rod and Arrow Outdoors, Facebook, RNA Outdoors, and YouTube, RNA Outdoors. All links are in the show notes as well. We hope you'll pass along our channel to your friends and colleagues. Subscribe today and follow along on the journey.